Do we do the play sound or LEDs blink? No! Oh, that's ick. That's real ick. Whoa, what is this? Isn't that just like someone's house though? Like that looks like a roof. Oh my goodness. Dude's just trying to wash his car. Why is this on the internet? Do they know that it's out on the internet? In this video, we're gonna find weird stuff just publicly exposed out on the open internet. And the way that I'm gonna be hunting for all this stuff is with Census. Now, let me be straight up. Census is the sponsor of this video, but we get to go off script and see what mischief we can get into and what cybersecurity shenanigans we might come across. So I am online on search.census.io. And if you've never heard of Census before, think of it as like Google, but for the entire internet. Looking for devices, looking for computers, looking for technology, and seeing what ports or open services might be available to anyone, anywhere, just thanks to the whole World Wide Web. Here in the search bar, we could literally just look for an IP address, name, protocol, or anything, and if you aren't familiar with the syntax, you can dive into this Getting Started section, and that has a whole lot of links, resources, and things for you to take a look at. But one of the ones that I think are most interesting are these examples. Just things you can use to get started and hit the ground running. Now, of course, there are usual queries just to look for, whatever IP addresses. Say you saw something odd in a malware sample, you're doing research, whatever, or, I don't know, you're taking a look at different IP addresses and their ports that are open. Hey, maybe specific hosts within a certain CIDR, CIDR range, or some of the more interesting ones that I think, different labels that Census might define for things that they've categorized or put in a sort of bucket that we could drill down into. We'll take a look at some of those labels in a little bit, but before we do, I kind of want to, maybe help get you thinking, get creative as to what you might be able to go find out there on the open internet. Think command and control servers for malware, viruses, trojans, stuff that hackers, adversaries, and threat actors might be using, or, hey, maybe some Outlook web access, open directories, anything. Maybe publicly exposed access, like the remote desktop protocol or Telnet even, or VNC without authentication, stuff that's just hanging out there. Now, I hope scrolling through some of those different examples at least got the gears turning in your head. But look, I know what you came here for, I know what you're interested in, and I know what's kind of fun. Can we track down any of those weird, wild, wacky, and just straight up bizarre stuff that just happens to be on the internet? And this is where one really sweet resource comes in. And if you haven't seen this, it's awesome, and it's genuinely called Awesome Census Queries. It's like a GitHub awesome list, like you've seen plenty of others for awesome security resources, awesome list whatever, but this is genuinely a collection of fascinating and bizarre census search queries. Let me show you some of this, because it's so cool. This is by Happy Dinoa, or I think Aiden over on the Census team, and it's so cool. Look at the table of contents here. Look, you can dig into industrial control systems, a bunch of Internet of Things devices, security applications, databases, dashboards, game servers, and so much more. But some of these get into really interesting stuff, like can you track down any Modbus protocols, things specific to ICS or operational technology, and could we track down some Samsung electronic billboards? This is from Prism View, and there are a whole lot of others like gas station pumps, electric vehicle chargers, some Carroll plant visors. All right, let me go see if we can track any of these down, and I can copy and paste this syntax, and look, I'll be the first to admit, I don't know all the ins and outs of these, but I love using this as a resource. So let me get back to Census here, and I'll just paste in that whole query to look for any of these billboards that are out on the open internet. And take a look. You can see some of the labels over on the left-hand side, and I'll zoom in a bit. Check it out. These are the hits that we've gotten, and we could drill down into any of those specific labels, like things that might be specific to remote access, or network devices, or even cameras, login pages, and more. We could drill down into this, or what kind of autonomous system that might be coming from. Maybe some of the locations, whether or not we're in the United States or Canada, Panama, I don't know. Of course, the service names, and these aren't specific to the port number because maybe one service could be on a different port for whatever reason, security by obfuscation or whatever. Of course, the ports themselves, and maybe some of the software vendors if you're looking for something specific. And this is actually really interesting because we could track down some of those VNC endpoints, maybe some cameras, maybe some routers, router technology, D-Link, Netgear, tons of this. And obviously, I've been scrolling through it. You can see the IP address and a little bit of info as to the location, ports, and match services that are available on all of the results. So here's one. This is a Cellco something over in California. It presumably has the camera tag or the label on it. I'm curious, can we see anything with this one? Let me click into that IP address. Hey, taking a look at what we have here and look at all the details you can get. Obviously, here's a basic summary of all the info, and you can see some of the historical data. Hey, how did things change over time as census has been scanning the internet? And that's how this all really works, right? Obviously, you've got all of the detailed information, the metadata, the headers, things pertinent to that information. And I won't drag us down the rabbit hole here, but there's a whole lot to it. Of course, who is data if you're looking for some domains, some more of that information. And that is actually awesome because you can query and look through it. Like if you wanted to search for, I don't know, who is and whatever hospital happens to be in the name, you can just do that. I do really like the sort of hat tip to Gray Noise here. Some other incredible folks doing fantastic work in the cybersecurity scene. But let me scroll down here just to show you, look, everything that you might be able to dig down into. Okay. How much of this can I show? So hey, before we go too far here, let me say, obviously I am sort of walking a tightrope in what I might showcase and present here in the video, but I do still acknowledge that all of this is public information and just on the internet. You could go search for this just as well, so I may redact things, I may not. It's weird. There's a certain judgment call, but I hope you're totally understanding whatever happens to be shown or not shown here. I will try to do my best, obviously, as we're gonna get weird and just open up cameras on the internet. So let me go back to the summary data, and then we can take a look at some of those different ports that are open or the services that are available. Here's SSH, of course, on one of those oddball ports. Drop Bear in the mix. HTTP does have a Mobotics IP camera. Ooh, that would be interesting to take a look at. Some more HTTP with something there. And these are all things that we could go explore and take a look at. Let me go take a look at that camera. Can we actually go see it? What will we see if I go? And yep, I'm understanding it might be weird, but hey, let's strap in for the ride. Oh, will we see it? Is it going to show us? Oh, is the billboard off? I think the billboard's off. But this is just public. Look, we can I can click around in here. Yeah. Change to the images sort of settings here. Admin menu. Okay, here be dragons. Yeah, I know. I don't want to touch that. Setup menu. Whoa. Arm and record, audio on, LEDs blink. The tooltip here says execute command and control. Play sounds, play last events, zoom in, center pan. I don't really want to like touch this because I realize that's a real thing. But okay, the billboard's off. Are there others that we could track down? Hey, let me go back a page to our search here. And again, we could just drill down into any of these labels and maybe we could find some other cameras. Yeah, something in Virginia, California. I feel a little bit odd doing just the United States. I'll pivot to Canada, but look, that's super duper easy. I don't know, choose whatever we want here and it will go ahead and update our little query as to what we're tracking down. And maybe because we saw whatever brand or type of camera that was, we could go find others. So it's really, really easy to fall down the rabbit hole here and just see what stuff you find. This is in the British Columbia. Does it have a thing that we could actually drill down into? DC REPC, one HTTP instance, Microsoft Windows, couple errors, Axis camera. Yeah. Let me see if I can go drill down to that. I'll go. I'm good with it. That one is taking a little bit of time to load. So let me see if I can track down any others. This is a D-Link DCS. Oh, that has a 401 unauthorized. So we probably wouldn't be able to get to that. I think it'll just prompt for, yeah, okay. Good access controls, asking for a username and password. Here's another Mobotics IP camera. What is up on this? Oh my goodness. Advertise your business here with Big Sky Media. Okay, I feel like I'm just giving them more promotion in this case. Aurora Dental, congratulations. You've hit a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel just showing off your ad. I hope you're okay with that. I'm truly sorry. This is so crazy. Like you can see the billboard change there. Yeah. Okay. It's just going back and forth on these. Can you see the cars driving by? Can I zoom? I don't want to wait. The Math Learning Center. You can see the cars driving by. Look at them go. Holy cow. Single family and townhomes are now for sale. I feel like the Mobotics IP camera is pretty reliable for finding billboards out on the internet. Can I look for more of those? What if I just like clear the search, and this should give me just absolutely everything that Census might see. Tons of stuff. Yeah, like 240 million just about different IPv6 addresses. Tons of Amazon things here. Obviously the locations here, almost 300 million in the United States, Germany, Canada, China. Oh, and look at all the software products. It's cool that these are all listed here because you can see like Squid. What's going on with this spot in Taiwan? They got a ton of weird ports open. Look at this one in India, as well as 46 more ports open. Oh, and this has remote access. You can see the tag here and just Telnet, just straight up open and from Argentina. The question is, could we see, okay, no, that takes a login, but there are certainly things that are just open and have no authentication and you're just logged in. Like if we take a look back at the GitHub awesome list, there are obviously tons more that we could drill down into here. I want to take a look at some of the plant visor ones. Electricity meters, wind turbines, what the heck? Road signs? Can we get any Roombas in here? The Emerson site supervisor I think is wild because you could basically just get like access control to the factory. Hey, another gentle reminder, this is all kind of for research, for funsies, for the knowledge and awareness as to just see what is out there and know that, hey, that's the world, that's the internet. So do what you do for good reasons, for good intentions, and no ill intent, and don't do cybercrime. Don't be a cyber criminal. I don't know why I have to say that every time. If anything, this is where it kind of gets really cool to use Census and this internet scanning capability to just know your attack surface, for one thing, see what your infrastructure, your endpoints, and your whole network and system really might have out on the open internet, and what shouldn't be there that you could plug the holes for. Or if you're doing some of that threat hunting, you could track down stuff like Cobalt Strike servers. Hey, command and control from malware, from threat actors. Here's some Metasploit. You can see scanners from Nessus, Merlin, Mythic, Demos, Covenant, Posh, and PowerShell C2, Sliver. Holy cow. Ooh, the Evil Jinx one is really sweet because you could drill down into a whole lot of the certificate capabilities. Like, let's see if we can get any runway with this. Let me copy paste how we could track down Evil Jinx. Brute Retel's in here, Empire, Raccoon Stealer. Oh, wow. Nanocore. DC Rat, dude, okay, I'm falling down the rabbit hole here. Someone's gonna pull me out. Let me go back to Census and then let me enter that Evil Jinx sort of fingerprint that it's tracking for a lot of the specific JARM tags. And that actually, interestingly enough, might include some login pages. So stuff that, I don't know, could showcase a genuine fish or fishlet. And a lot of these look, hey, it's on Akamai, Linode, Alibaba hosting in here with some Ubuntu boxes. This one has a lot to it, and that might be specific to like a honeypot. And we'll chat about that in just a sec, because I think that's a really interesting thing to discuss. Like, look at all these open ports. I don't know if that's real or legitimate or not, but maybe Census could help determine if it is in fact a honeypot or even something else that we could call a tar pit. Before we chase that though, I kind of want to finish this thread on, I don't know, some of the certificate scanning that you might be able to do, because I've been searching through hosts for the longest time, but you could use a whole nother data set for certificates and use that as a query for specific stuff that you're looking for, like other C2 servers, or maybe malicious stuff out on the internet. And if we wanted to build out a report, you'll notice I clicked on that button at the very top here, report in the top right. If you wanted to, if you had a query staged, you could actually drill down into one of the specific fields that you might be able to get some more details on. Like if I were to click into this breakdown field section here, we get this drop down list of all of the crazy things that we could kind of zoom in on and actually use as the filter, something to specifically narrow down on, hey, a field that we just want to get an aggregate and count and all the report on. So we saw the whois information, DNS things, operating systems, tons of stuff that we could kind of pull some info on. But I'm curious, can we get some of the certificate information on this? We could keep scrolling, but I could honestly just keep typing. I just want to show you, look, all the crazy things you could see. Yeah, let me search for certificate, and look, we could see the subject name, and maybe they might fake something specifically. Country, email address, common name. What's the common name? Can we pull that out? Build a report and let me see if there's anything worthwhile there. Change me. That has a lot of hits. Localhost, Docker. I know these are what they would have put in the place. Oh, and ngrok. Wow. Put in the place of their certificate for potentially an Evil Jinx fishlet for an active phishing campaign. And hey, here's a little bit of a tangent, but I think this is pertinent. One of my good friends, colleagues, peers, Matt, or MB Research. I've talked about him and we've chatted and showcased some of his great stuff in a previous video. show, but he is also showcasing a lot of really sweet stuff using Census and how you can tie it to general security research, malware analysis, and tracking cybercrime campaigns, active threats out on the horizon. You see him on Twitter, and he actually had a little bit of a sweet shout out with some SANS work using Census and a lot of those internet scanners to be able to dig into malware. It's actually a really cool thing in my mind to see a whole lot of these different worlds collide, and especially goes to show how small and tight-knit our cybersecurity community really is. Clint Gibbler, another one of my great friends who's running the TLDRSec newsletter, he was showcasing some of MB Research's work, digging into all this malware tracking using Census to the point where, like, hey, he even got a blog post on Census. Check it out, a beginner's guide to tracking malware infrastructure. And hey, honestly, I just think that's pretty cool. I just want to celebrate, hey, seeing friends doing incredible stuff. I'll include the link to that article in the video description, but if you'd like, totally go take a look, check them out, find and follow them on Twitter or X. Now, if we were still scrolling through that awesome list of Census queries, things we could track down, take a look, I don't know, just open and expose databases or dashboards, tons and tons that we could copy pasta, hey, slap in and see what weird stuff we might track down. But if you weren't super duper familiar with all the syntax, things you might be able to do with these Census queries, there is another super sweet tool that makes this incredibly easy. And you just type in, this is what I want to see, show me that, and then it comes to life. In case you didn't see it on the Getting Started page, you could actually take a look at some of the workshop sections there. And Census GPT, although it sounds kind of wild, right? But it's genuinely awesome. Hey, you could just type for, I don't know, show me cameras without a 401 unauthorized status code in India. And then we search for that. And with that, it just spits out, hey, what we would have been wanting to query without needing to deal with the syntax. We can copy and paste that or just go straight to our Census search. And of course, to give some examples, hey, maybe Russian hosts with RDP or FTP open, services in Brazil. And then if you want to translate things from other services, it's super easy to do that. And I believe that URL is just gpt.census.io, but let me go see if we could track down any of those. Here are a couple cameras. Is there anything that we might be able to take a look at? And I did mention how you might just be able to find some like totally interactive and accessible already logged in, no authentication, maybe shells, like remote access or RDP, Telnet VNC or whatever. In this case, hey, they're just looking for some BusyBox shells over Telnet, and we could track that down. Can I paste in that search query and see if we can drill down into any oddball stuff? It'll give us the, oh, that's a router. There's one in China. Yeah, okay, oh my goodness. That is just there with a open banner and a prompt for that. I'm not going to touch that one. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. Okay, I don't mean to fall down the cliff here really on everything in this awesome GitHub list, but genuinely, there's so much cool stuff here. Oh, the advanced queries, though, are worthwhile to dig into again, because I was discussing those honeypots and maybe what we might consider a tar pit, and that was, at least in my mind, kind of a new term for me. In case you aren't familiar, tar pits are these instances, these devices, the tech that's out there that is configured and decorated with like nouns of critical infrastructure or critical services like government or agencies or things specific to a entity that has some influence and would be an attractive target. And they're usually just deployed through AWS, Amazon Web Services, or I don't know, any cloud hosting provider that just makes that easy to spit out there. And Census can track these down. Honestly, like we could just use labels being a tar pit, or you could use a honeypot here if you really wanted to. But you know what? Hey, let's start with a tar pit because I think that's worthwhile to showcase. And look, there are tons of these. Obviously, the label has like 48,000 in the autonomous system here, whatever AS kind of set up with this, a lot of Amazon, Akamai, GCP, and more, of course. And if I were to go take a look at the report section over here, if I were to try and break that down on like the certificate CN, the common name is what I'm interested in. Here I can search for just an underscore here. And if I I build the report on that, if I click the button on the side here. Now, look, I can't say this with like any like guaranteed certainty, right? But if you take a look at some of the numbers and then you take a look at what you have as the entry, admin at First Bank in, what is that? Whatever CATLD or top level domain that might be. Yeah, mill domains, maybe some gov stuff in the mix. There's not going to be 9 of those. And there are a lot of these. We could keep scrolling for Air Force Next, chemicalwest.mil. That's pretty hokey. But again, look, if I even then just go search for honeypot, Census has actually updated a lot of their detection rules, and you can track down some things that are specific to genuine honeypots. And I think that's kind of neat, because if you actually go take a look, whether it's the location as to where that's spun up or not, you could actually drill down into the specific products, like Conpot, something that I've talked about even for ICS or industrial control systems before. Elastic Honey, that's a known one. Gas Pot, I'm sure Cowrie's in the mix somewhere somehow too. I do really like that they tag that, again, in case you see it in whatever research, then you know at least what the thing actually could be. Now, before I get back to like the playground of just seeing and finding weird stuff out there, I do have one last thing that I am just a little bit curious about, because I know it's oftentimes a hot topic, but it's so dumb to me when there are still publicly exposed RDP, remote desktop protocols, just naked and vulnerable to the internet. And that's still a thing, right, in 2024. I know it's silly when we say that, but there is a real element of truth to that. So let me be very brave and very bold here, but I want to see hosts with hospital in the Whois organization name with RDP, maybe that's better to say RDP service open. Can I search for that? Services, service name, RDP, yep, and the TLS certificate parse organization has hospital in it. I want the Whois data though. I could probably tweak that. Look, it's AI, it's not gonna be right 1000%. Let me paste that in and let me tweak that, because I think I can do just whois.organization.name, and let me search for this. How many hits is that? How many is it gonna pull back? Okay, not an awful number, but that does like return hospital things, which is pretty sketch. Oh, these are in the United States. All right, how much of this do I have to redact? Is there anything that's not in the US? Okay, Australia and Canada, thanks. Yeah, wow, okay, Australia has some. That's ick, that's big ick. Let me go back to the fun stuff. Are there any of the ICS devices or, again, billboards or gas stations that we might be able to drill down into? The gas station ones are interesting because they just tell you, like, they offer a screenshot here, like how much gas is in the tank available. We could try to track down some Roombas or some auto mowers. The site supervisor, I think, can get really, really sketch though. Yeah, that's basically bad news bears. Let me keep looking for cameras. I think those are fun. I like looking for cameras. If anything, I could track down a new set of glasses. Products with camera in the name and no 401 unauthorized status. Does that work? Services, response title camera, and not a 401. Okay, let's try it. I switched to just looking for cameras with the Mobotix vendor and not a 401 unauthorized. So I'm curious if we'll see anything here. Whoa, I don't know what that is, but that looks pretty neat. That is allegedly somewhere in Switzerland, I guess. We could keep looking for any other, we could add in other vendors if we wanted to, like Hikvision or Axis. I think we had some good life with, or just maybe make sure this is an IP camera. Plenty of other things we could try. I could like do this for hours though. This is probably a problem. Whoa, what is this? Lick vom Schlossberg? German something? That's pretty cool though, not gonna lie. Isn't that just like someone's house though? Like that looks like a roof. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I like that one. She's just doing her thing. That's just real work happening right there. Do we do the play sound or LEDs blink? No. That's just like horrifying. She doesn't know that she's streaming. Oh, that's ick. That's real ick. I'm outie. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. Is this a farm? Spinnaker, your provider for internet communication. The Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Okay. At least we know that that's happening. Help kids succeed at school with therapy dogs. Dude, I don't know. I'm really not sure though. Oh wow. It's just a little beach. Good view of the ocean. Huh. Apparently somewhere in Italy, I guess. Oh my goodness. Dude's just trying to wash his car. Whoa, okay. I don't know how I feel about that one. He's just washing his car. Car's driving by. This is a car wash somewhere, I think. Do they know that it's out on the internet? Like anyone can go see that thing? This place is in Italy and seemingly has a different port for every different camera showing the live feed as to what's going down. Yeah, they're just doing their thing. Whoo. I don't know about that one. This one looks sketch. Is that just a warehouse? This just has to be someone's like 3D printer setup they're monitoring? Maybe a lot of them? That's just the road and cars and people. Why is this on the internet? That has gotta be an apartment door and their car parked. That just looks sketchy. That just looks like a very, very horror movie set. Oh man, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I was scrolling through the GitHub awesome list again and I saw these bright signs that you could maybe go query and interrogate. And I see a couple of them that we could look at, and it's kind of odd because look, it gets you there and you can see it and go mess with it. Like look at the logs that were all kind of there. Take a look at the control options if you were to reboot it or do anything with it, and even looking at the SD card, including like, hey, some of the previous snapshots as to what it has been doing. Video doesn't actually let you do anything, presumably, unless you change like the mode of it. Diagnostics is a tab where you could presumably run commands if you, I don't know, maybe do some oddball stuff with ping and network diagnostics. But is there anything that we could see in these snapshots, maybe? This is kind of interesting. Oh no. Are there any of these in the United States? There's one in Texas, Florida. SSH is there, and there's the digital signage. Bowling masks. What is that? Image.jpg. What is that? All right, obviously there's a ton of weird, wild, and wacky stuff you could track down on the open internet, but look, seriously, I wanted to bring this to your attention for the sake of security research. I don't know, seeing what is out there, seeing open directories that might be hosting malware or payloads or exploits or command and control instances between different C2, remote access Trojans, viruses, Trojans, whatever. I really think in a future video, I don't know, we could look through some of those open directories, or we could explore more of those honeypots or the tar pits, or see things that we might not otherwise see if we didn't use something like Census, something that can do this mass worldwide internet scanning to be able to see what ports and services are exposed and out there. I got to admit, I think Census does a phenomenal job at tagging any of these things, like adding those labels or those categories so you could zoom in on the stuff that you're more interested in and drill down to add other, I don't know, locations, geographic locations, specific vendors, specific products, whatever technology or whatever you are looking for. And honestly, I think that is awesome for the sake of research, for the sake of tracking malware, cybercrime, and threat and hunting. You can check him out and get started with Census with my link below in the video description, jh.live/census. So seriously, thank you so much to Census for sponsoring this video, and especially thank you to you for watching, tuning in, and checking out some of those weird, wild things with me. I think it's quite a ride, and there's so much more we could do. We could do that forever. If you did enjoy this video, please do all those YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. With that, take care.